Welcome to History Time Warp, where we dive deep into the events that have shaped our world. Today, we explore the 1973 oil embargo, an event that not only transformed the global energy landscape, but also redefined the geopolitical dynamics of the 20th century. Join us as we uncover the intricate web of politics, economics, and power that led to one of the most significant energy crises in history. On October 19, 1973, the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OAPEC, made a bold move that sent shockwaves through the world economy. In response to U.S. support for Israel during the Yom Kippur War, OPEC imposed an oil embargo on the United States and other nations backing Israel. This wasn't just a reactionary measure, it was a calculated strategy to leverage oil as a tool of international diplomacy. The Arab nations sought to challenge Western dominance and assert their influence on the global stage. Before the embargo, oil prices were stable, trading at around $2.90 per barrel. But the embargo, coupled with strategic production cuts, triggered a drastic spike in prices. By January 1974, oil was trading at $11.65 per barrel, nearly 4 times its previous price. This surge revealed the vulnerability of the U.S. and other Western economies, which were heavily dependent on Middle Eastern oil. The U.S. was particularly hard hit, as its domestic oil production was insufficient to meet its energy needs, and there was little capacity to ramp up production quickly. The embargo didn't just disrupt the flow of oil, it exposed deep cracks in the U.S. economic foundation. Inflation, which had already reached 5.8% in 1973 due to various factors including the Vietnam War and dollar devaluations, soared to 11.05% by the end of 1974. The U.S. gross domestic product, or GDP, growth turned negative, with the economy contracting by 0.5% in 1974 and 0.2% in 1975. Unemployment rose sharply, peaking at 9% in May 1975. This period of economic turmoil, characterized by the rare combination of high inflation and stagnant growth, became known as stagflation. The Federal Reserve, led by Chairman Arthur Burns, faced an unprecedented challenge. Burns recognized that the oil crisis was only one part of a much larger economic puzzle. He cited not just the oil embargo, but also the Vietnam War, dollar devaluations, global economic strains, and even poor crop yields as factors contributing to the inflationary pressures of the time. The Fed's dilemma was clear. Should it raise interest rates to combat inflation, knowing this could deepen the recession? Or should it lower rates to stimulate growth, risking further inflation? This was more than an economic conundrum. It was a test of the limits of monetary policy. The Fed ultimately chose to raise interest rates, but the effects were mixed. While inflation eventually began to stabilize, the U.S. economy continued to struggle with slow growth and high unemployment throughout the decade. This period highlighted the limitations of monetary policy in dealing with external shocks like the oil embargo, and led to a reevaluation of economic strategies in the years that followed. But to understand the full impact of the 1973 oil embargo, we must also consider the perspectives of the OAPEC nations. For these countries, the embargo was not just about oil prices. It was about asserting their sovereignty and using their natural resources to influence global politics. The embargo was seen as a successful exercise of power, forcing Western nations to reconsider their foreign policies and their relationships with the Middle East. The embargo also led to significant changes in global energy dynamics. In the United States, the crisis prompted the creation of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve in 1975, a move designed to safeguard against future supply disruptions. It also sparked a renewed focus on energy conservation and the development of alternative energy sources, though progress in these areas was slow. Internationally, the crisis shifted the balance of power in the oil markets, solidifying OPEC's role as a key player in setting global oil prices. The 1973 oil embargo was more than just an economic crisis. It was a turning point in global history. It demonstrated the power of natural resources in shaping international relations and forced the world to rethink its approach to energy security. As we continue to face new challenges in the global energy landscape, the lessons of 1973 remain as relevant as ever. Thanks for joining us on History Time Warp. If you enjoyed this exploration of one of history's defining moments, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more. There's always more history to explore.